If you're headed off to college, it's important to study up on how much it will cost to achieve a higher education. Here to give us her A-plus notes to help parents and students prepare for these costs and find ways to save is money expert Nicole Lappin. Welcome, Nicole.
Thanks so much for having me, Desiree.
Yeah, we're happy to have you on. Now, Nicole, let's help parents and students who are attending college right now. What are some of the biggest expenses to be aware of, and what are some ways to cut costs?
So the biggest expenses for the back to school time are supplies and textbooks. So Desiree, on the supplies front, I would wait as much as you possibly can into the back to school time for the best prices, and also hang on to those receipts. So a lot of retailers will give you a price match, but only if you keep the receipt. And then on the textbook front, of course, that can be so expensive, but companies like Pearson are disrupting the textbook world finally and offering better prices to students. When I was a student, I'd have to pay like $200 for a textbook. I don't know if you remember that. But with the Pearson Plus app, you can just pay $14.99 a month, get up to 1,600 titles or more. And that not only saves you time, but also saves you money.
Yes, I definitely remember when I was in college, just how quickly the bill racks up when getting so many hard-covered textbooks. So that sounds great. Now, with so many expenses to keep track of, how can parents balance their own financial planning with their college-bound students?
My message to parents this morning is to put your oxygen mask on first before helping even your kids. You are not going to be of service to anyone else, including your kids, if you're crashing and burning financially yourself. So before you even think about college savings for your kids, make sure you have your retirement on point, because there is no scholarship, no grant, no financial aid for retirement, and you're not going to be helpful to your kids if you show up on their couch to sleep on their couch because you have no money when you're going through retirement. Remember that we don't learn this stuff in school. We don't learn about financial literacy. If I were in charge of the world, Desiree, we would. But that's why it's so incumbent on parents to act as a good example for their kids.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of like you got to preach what you sow. So what are some things parents can encourage their students to do when they are on their own to stay on top of finances?
I think parents can encourage their kids to actually use their student ID or their student discount. It's not valuable if you don't use it. And even Apple, which rarely discounts, is offering an educational discount this back to school season. I would also encourage parents and kids to use cashback apps like Rakuten that gives you money just for using it, or apps like Ibotta or Fetch Rewards or Checkout 51, which gives you money just for uploading a receipt. So if you're going to spend full price on something during this back to school season, then I would suggest to try and get some cash and some money on the flip side.
And why is it so important that parents have these conversations with their college-bound students now ahead of time? Because this is something I wish I was more informed about. Why is it important to have those conversations early on?
I think it's important to have these conversations early on because we aren't taught this in school. And so concepts like debt and compound interest are often new to college students. I didn't learn this stuff in college. I was valedictorian in my college and I still didn't learn any of that. So I think it's important for parents to implement some of these concepts even through allowance, let's say, and try to start as early as possible with college savings, because the X factor here isn't more money. You don't need more money. You need more time so that this can grow. With accounts like a 529, which is college specific, of course, and tax advantaged, or if you qualify for a Roth IRA, please take advantage of that savings vehicle, because you can actually, Desiree, pull money out penalty free for qualified educational expenses.
Wow. And then when I was in college, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but I had those hard copies of textbooks. And with the app that you were mentioning, are you going to get the same benefits?
Well, you're going to get better benefits, in my opinion. Think of like a Spotify or Netflix experience with an immersive app like Pearson Plus versus an old school ebook app. You know, you can open a simple PDF, but with this app, you can actually highlight, you can create flashcards, you can even listen to your textbooks at 1.5 times the speed or 2 times the speed like you would with podcasts. So this not only saves you time, but saves you money. As I mentioned, it is a win-win, no-brainer to me.
Ugh, okay, I like it. I wish this was something I had when I was in college. It would have made things so much more easier.
Amen, sister. You and me both.
Yeah. And for those of us who don't have children in college just yet, what advice do you have for parents to save for that big bill that's coming?
In addition to the tax-advantaged accounts that I mentioned of 529s and Roth IRAs, I would also really comb through grants and scholarships out there. There are so many, but try to be as specific as possible. So were you the first person in your family to go to college? There's a scholarship for that. Do you have a military affiliation in your family? There's a scholarship for that. Are you super into forestry or whatever? There is a scholarship for that. But the more specific you can be, the less competition there's going to be for that money.
I completely agree with you, Nicole. There are so many scholarships that are out there, and taking advantage of them is so needed. It's so important. Thank you so much for your tips. And for more information, check out Pearson.com.